Thank you for being here and being interested in community. This is something that Mina and I have been working on for the past few years, and this has been on my mind for at least a decade or so. So now things are kind of ramping up, and to get things started, I'd like to do kind of a check-in with everyone and just see where we're all at, and then we'll move on through the process of introducing ourselves. So the way I want this to go about it, I learned this from the men's group that I'm in, is we're all going to go around one at a time, and we're just going to say our name, and then I want us to say what community means to us. And we'll try to keep it, relatively brief, maybe like a minute to 2 minutes, and then we'll move on to the next person. We'll just kind of go in a circular direction here. So I guess I will start. And so I'm Panda. Others know me as Alex. And what community means to me, it's a place where you can feel supported in whatever it is you're doing. And I actually like to bring in the word team. That's kind of what I think of with community, is that we're working together towards a common goal. And so when we're done, just put your hand on your chest and say thank you, and then we'll move on. So we'll pass it to Minnie.
Yeah, so I'm Minnie, and what community means to me, it's a family that I choose. We don't get born into, our spirits or whatever it is, chose our, nuclear family, but I choose to have my community, which is my family in this lifetime of journey. All right, thank you.
I'm Susan, and community means living together without judging my neighbor or my family or my child.
Okay, I'm Linda, and I guess I would perceive community as kind of an extension of more smaller relationships where the same values of allowance and trust, honor and respect and gratitude, appreciation and vulnerability and truth and love, obviously founded on truth and love, are shared by a wider group. But the idea of support and allowance and acceptance is kind of central to how I perceive it.
Well, this journey has been, it takes a village to raise a child, so why not all of us find the inner child within and be playful? I was raised with my family being so close that I've just really enjoyed the hugs and the community. And so I've just decided that as a life shift facilitator, there has to be like the 3 C's. And that, of course, is community, collaboration, and with compassion. So those are kind of the things that I'm going to live by. With ease and grace, we do attract that which we're supposed to be hanging out with, and for the highest good for all creation.
Thank you.
I'm Wendy. Community to me means a space where it's safe to collaborate and to build something bigger than the sum of all the parts. I love the synergy between people and how we all have our own perspectives and how we color things together. I think most importantly for me, the values of trust and love and kind of a striving for higher consciousness is kind of always in my makeup every day, and that's what I hope to find.
Nice.
Thank you.
Hey folks, I'm Melanie. When you asked the question, the initial thing I was thinking of was just the breaking down of the word community, and it's community, like unity. So I think that that's one component just in the word itself that I observe. For me, a network knit by common values, I think, can build community as well. So,
Thank you.
I'm Lesley. Community, seeing as I'm working on a community community-based magazine, I guess we should have some sense of community. You know, it's funny because when you say that, I think, for me, I also think Almonte community, right? Like, because that's where I was born and raised, and there's a very strong kind of a bond within, like, the local community, especially somewhere in the valley towns where we've grown up. Like, there's you know, and there's commonalities, like common things with the people that you don't get from other communities, right? Common bonds. And then, of course, it's a spiritual community, which is a whole different energy, right? And that's partially drawn by resonance, right? Or people that are maybe looking for something that you can offer to them that they can't find anywhere else or haven't been able to find. So for me, community is very closely tied to needs, like common needs and dignity, and that's something for me that, you know, I constantly strive to look for the, you know, the biggest needs in the community and respond to that with the community, the things that I offer, the community events or the community services or whatever. It's very need driven, right? So for me, yeah, that's kind of what those common needs are, kind of what can pull a community together too, right? So, yeah. Oh, Hudson, can you turn that off? Sorry. Yeah, so, but I bet a community can be not limited geographically, right?
Mm-hmm.
It can be, we can have like the Empower magazine can have a community all over Canada, right? Like
All over the world.
All over the world now. It's not what we grew up with as a definition of community. It's very different now. So it's expanding those original beliefs, right? Because it was very localized. And now it's like, wow, you know, expanding that vision and you can have a community that's connected by common interests and common goals and common beliefs all over the world.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the exciting part. Anyway, I talk too much.
You don't. You're good.
Yeah. I just had to go into the energy of the question because I didn't think of it in my head.
Okay.
I didn't think about what I wanted to say.
Which includes
pets. Yes.
Totally.
Yes. Yeah. Or the pets. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for sharing that. The little bits and pieces I'm gathering are common values, shared needs, unity, working together, right? Non-judgmental space. So yeah, these are all the things we're going to basically address with the community we're building. And I'd like to do another round of a check-in and just see what is it that drew you to this? How are you feeling? What kind of pulled you here tonight? Yeah, so let's start with you, Susan. We'll just go back around.
I'm part of 3 communities, and I've dropped out of one of them. So I'm beginning to find out that although people say they're spiritual, that's not really the intent of some of the spiritual groups. It's more of majority wins, which is what we already have right now. Right?
Yeah.
And as soon as I get that feeling, I step back. It's not that that it's not good for something else, but that's not how I envision the community of the future.
Yeah.
We must work together, and we would benefit to actually work together with people who have different skills and different opinions and different ways of doing things. It would be rather boring if we were all the same, which is what I found happened at those meetings. And I was just like, yeah, no, yeah.
So what brought you here
to see if
Precisely.
that was going to be the case here.
Okay,
Oh,
so you're
okay, you're judging us.
taking notes. No, for sure. No, it's all.
Yeah, that's totally. You're in trouble now.
Well, I mean, I don't call
Yeah,
it judging. I call
No,
it
I know, I'm
concern.
just joking.
I will still love you guys.
I'm just
will
joking
either
with
be
you.
in the community or out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm with Susie. And then you would always know why.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. So you're here. If I were to sum up a word, like you're here for curiosity. You're here to understand more.
Yeah, but you
Right.
have a specific need though. You're looking for something specific.
Am I looking for something specific? No, not really, because some communities that I have, like the one I dropped out of, I would still use them because they have tradespeople that I would still interact with. Like it doesn't mean that that I'm totally out of the community, but I'm not in the workings of it.
Yeah.
Because, but it doesn't mean that I, just like me going to Costco. I don't like Costco, but, and I try not to shop there. However, if that's all I can get, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's we're all needed.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, and I wouldn't be rude or anything to any of those people.
Oh, no.
No, it's just, it's how far I stay with the community or not, and
Yeah.
it just means it doesn't fit me.
Yeah, that's fine.
So there we go.
Yeah,
Now
that's
we
great.
can bring down the judgment.
No. No, I was just joking. I hope you were
Yeah.
offended
It's all
by
good.
that.
It's all good. Thank you for sharing. Then did you want to share anything?
Yeah, so I created a community sort of by default in Toronto. We started a light worker community. We started doing these light work meditations, and then it was a meetup group, and so it kind of grew like topsy, and I didn't like the form it took. It wasn't conscious at all on my part, and I wasn't very, I was a leader and I was the great provider, and it just didn't work. So I've been envisioning communities of members and spiritual and community. I just did a big brainstorming thing again today in preparation for being here. And I guess I'm kind of curious about other people's ideas about how they also envision, like, not in 3D and 4D, right? We're operating in 5D and 7D. What are our communities looking like, and what kind of social structures are we having, and how do we resolve things? Like if social hierarchies are, like we had that discussion yesterday, but at the other event that I was at here, right, there was a discussion about our area. And what are the values? And when you have such diverse people, what values do you actually share? It's like, well, truth, love, and kindness. That's we can all agree on that. So I've been, because we are going to be creating communities, and we are creating them. And what I realized is that I need to start living as if I'm in the new earth now. Like I need to live as if I'm in those kinds of communities now, not wait for them to magically show up. That's how we create.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm interested in doing the whole New Earth thing because I'm leaving the rest behind.
Oh yes, Betty.
Now, I haven't actually heard the term 7D. I thought like 5 and 6 was good, but 7, holy crap, I could really raise the bar. Like I'm living here, I could get to live higher, holy crap.
Yeah.
So co-creating with the divine, I'm interested in that. So you guys are all divine, and I certainly want to see what we can co-create together. Or we could use the word go create.
Go create. Okay. Thanks, Sylvia.
I'm here because, of course, I want to support. And then, in the short period that we've been working together, I've actually seen action taking place, which for me is much needed because I've been in many spiritual groups where we talk, and take these visions and everything's so beautiful, but it's like, how are we moving? closer to the goal? How are we actually taking steps to make it manifest? So we've been able to manifest some things in a very short time, so I can just imagine with more people co-creating at the same time with the same values and the same vision, we will be unstoppable. And I want part of that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wendy.
That was nice.
What drew me here today? Well, Wendy told me about this evening, and Gail as well, last Wednesday, and I just felt intuitively like I should join. And yeah, I remember when we first met, actually, you were talking about wanting to build a community. It was like one of the first things that you shared with me. And so,
Actually, we met before Soulshine. It was at Ompa.
It was before Soulshine, yeah.
It was at our place.
Yeah, it was at Ompa.
And then your place. It all kind of happened in the same summer. Yeah.
No.
Where was Ompa? Oh,
Katie's.
sorry.
Yeah.
And it's Vibe and Thrive. But we talked about it, Vibe and Thrive. Right. So there's that, and I also feel like I work for the government right now, and I feel like I'm like caught in between worlds half the time, and it's just like this energy that like I don't necessarily feel like entirely ready to just like break free from, but also want to live the way I want to live, and part of that is building community networks, enjoying life and all these things in a different way than just the grudge and the system and all of this. I'm feeling very much this weird dynamic in my own home where it's like sometimes I feel at home in my home and other times I feel like it's a prison, and so like just trying to navigate where I belong and what my next step is, so that's fine.
Cool. Thank you.
I heard that. I would like to, because it's hard for me to get time to do everything. I did get onto one video, but I really want to get a better sense of your vision, what you guys are wanting to create, because once I'm aware of that, I do love to connect the pieces, like I'm a networker and I see where people fit together. That's one of my gifts. So once I have a sense of where you're at, then I can see where other people and other skills and with other skill sets and areas of specialization where they could fit with you guys too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just, I need to get what I really like to get is a good sense of where you're at, where your vision's at. That's the most important thing for me today. Because then I can, and really, even with my new project launching too, there could be ways we could be collaborating too, right? With the online magazine. So, I think it's good that we get to know each other better and get a better sense of, I haven't really known you guys that well, better sense of who you are, what your core beliefs are, and what you're really wanting to manifest. So, yeah.
Well, we're getting there. That's why we're here.
We're getting here. Yeah.
I'm excited to learn more.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Well, to get us started then, I guess we got to introduce you to what Cafe Cadenza is. And we're not too attached to the name necessarily, but Cafe Cadenza is this vision we had for this cafe that had all these components. And in the end, it's a broader community. And so cafe, a place where you come, you drink tea or coffee, you mingle. And then Cadenza, it's that solo piece in an orchestra that you get you're part of a group, but you also get to shine. And I think that's the value we want to share, that it's not the community or the individual, it's the community and the individual. And then we're all here to support each person and uplift each other along the way. So I guess to get that started, maybe a little story about myself, just kind of growing up and, well, Minnie understands a little bit. So I'm half Asian, my dad's Vietnamese, and there does seem to be these stereotypes that come with some of that culture. And so there's a bit of, shouldn't say a bit, there's a lack of love there, a lack of this, sense of community. Everything's very materialistic. Get things done, get good grades, make a lot of money, right? And so I grew up with a lot of that and never really quite had that sense of community. But the things that I did enjoy growing up were like going to school, because that was the community. That was where all my friends were. That was where I got to learn and grow. And it was just nice to have that. And then, my neighbors were my friends, and I'd go down the street and just knock on their door. There was no like timetable. It was just, hey, let's go play, and I want to bring that essence back to our lives and all that. And I remember thinking as a kid, like, I might have been an old soul, a little bit mature before my time, and I kept thinking, I can't wait to be an adult, then I can deal with adults. And sorely was I mistaken as I look at the news and the things that are happening in the world, and I'm thinking, these are adults? Like, come on. So anyways, so that's what we're here. We're here to kind of build maturity out of us, like raise us out of that, right? And so all the adults, come together, but keep that inner child. I don't want to ever lose that. And so really what drives me is like truth, justice, and peace. Like these, I don't understand why we can't have these things in our world. And so since I started learning about the corruption of the world, these are the things that have kind of driven me. And I can't explain why. I just know that when I see an injustice, like when Minnie loses her job, like I just get angry and I want to smash things. Seeing the certain unfairness in the world and the way people treat each other. And so I've made it kind of my life mission to follow a virtuous path, and I've been exploring, all these years. And so I've been thinking about how to get there, and I've gone down the rabbit hole of so many like documentaries. Zeitgeist Addendum, the second one, is really what got me thinking and solution-oriented, because for a while documentaries are kind of, doom and gloom, and this is the corruption of the money system and the governments and like all these factors and who to trust. But then when Zeitgeist Addendum came in, they came in with this thing called the Venus Project and a resource-based economy. And then he was like, imagine a world without money. And I was like, oh, yes, I have a brain, I have an imagination, I can come up with solutions. And that's what kind of got that ball rolling. And I started getting into like, alternative science, alternative health, just exploring all avenues, really trying to get a holistic sense of how can we bridge the gap from this world to the resource-based economy that I really believed could work. Now, that's kind of evolved, and we'll explain a little bit more later, but that was kind of the drive, the thing that really brought me to coming up with solutions. So I've been here before. Actually, almost 10 years ago in December, I had a presentation. It was called the Ottawa Sustainable Economic Transformation. But I still didn't quite have all the pieces together. And it's, like you're saying, it's hard to get people to align or to agree on certain things. So that fell short. And I also I think I needed a certain level of life experience. So I'm feeling a lot more prepared this time around. And then once Soulshine hit, which was just this past September, and some of you guys were there, and I encourage every single one of you to show up next year, because we are going to make our own mini Cafe Cadenza camp within this larger festival, and just showcase like how we want our community to thrive. And so when I came to Soulshine, I didn't really know what to expect, but when I walked in and I saw the energy, I saw the people, I saw what was happening and participating in the workshops, it really lit me up. And that introductory, the opening ceremony where it was the ancestors, were saying, we're the ones that the ancestors are waiting for. And I began to feel this deep connection in a way that I had never felt before, where I actually felt it. Like, intellectually I understood, okay, yeah, I have ancestors way back when, but then I started thinking, no, wait, they had kids, those kids had kids, those kids had kids, and eventually led up to me and all of us. And so then I started to feel that power, that, oh, wow, I'm here because they survived. I'm here because they continued on. And so it's our job to kind of keep that torch going, kind of like in the Olympics. So yeah, that's what brought me here. And Soulshine just kind of really showed me through this like 4-day festival, like we could have this all the time. Now, granted, maybe not partying all the time, but the way when you walked around and it just seemed like everybody was like, hey, how's it going? And like everyone was super supportive, and that healing with the masculine and the feminine, that was a huge for me, especially because trying to get in touch with my masculine in a healthy way is very important. So now I'm part of a men's group and in Ottawa, and that's been very exceptional for me. And so now we're here just putting it out, because right after that festival, we're like, let's get some videos out, let's start talking and moving things forward. And then thankfully Wendy's kind of joined the group now, because for a while it was just Minnie and myself, and so now we're living our truth, we're living the values that we're presenting. So that's kind of my side of the story, and maybe Minnie, you want to share where you're coming from.
Yeah, so my side of the story is my grandma and grandpa met after the Second World War. My grandma was 20 years old. She thinks it's just the right thing to get married, so they got married. Of course, that didn't get them too well, and then that's how my mom was born into a family that really didn't really have that love and things like that, right? So then my mom got married because, again, it's a right thing to do. It's always this right thing to do. It's all about the image. There was never, that, well, why? Like, why aren't you looking deeper and have that critical thinking of why things happen? And then that's when I'm here. I got born. But they obviously, on both generation level, I guess, at the back then, they never really thought about why do we have the next generations. So a lot of traumas and all the things that just got passed down. And I've just always been, or I always feel like that I was just the burden of the family because of my, physical health or whatever it is. And I'm such an old soul, and I knew it too. And when my mom tried to fed me her breast milk, I rejected it as a baby, like as soon as I was. So as soon as I was born, I was deemed this rebellious person ever. And, back then, it's always like the shame, the guilt, the everything, right? But now me growing up, I'm like, damn right, I'm so proud of that rebellion. Because that rebellion side of me grew up never wanting to follow any of the rules. I never questioned why. But, at a 4-year-old, at an 8-year-old, I was running away from home. I was like breaking all the rules. And then my parents would just blame it on, oh, your grandmother spoiled you. You're so spoiled by your grandfather because of that. But now that I go back when I work on my trauma and when I analyze it, I'm like, no, because I never agree with anything that was normal to the society. I was never seen as a normal person. I was always seen as a rebellion. But because I felt so helpless as a kid, and there's times where my inner child would jump out and be like, oh, you're so helpless here, you're so hopeless here. And that pattern repeated until I would say even like into my 30s, like my very early 30s. I know I look 18, guys, but into my early 30s, that pattern just repeated itself of I felt helpless in the sense that, I am rebellion. I don't agree with things, but every time I run away from home, I felt like I have no choice just to return to a toxic home. And because every time I just couldn't find a solution. And I remember when I was a teenager, I was misdiagnosed with depression. At the end, it was a hyperthyroid problem. And the doctor, of course, forced me on pills, make me go to the hospital. And I remember lying on the hospital bed one day and said, there's gotta be a better system than this. Everybody around me told me there's no choice. You're going to the hospital. And the reason why I wanted to end my life was I was in that hopeless state because everybody told me I have no choice. At that point of my life, I told myself, I have to find a choice. I can't just stay here and be like, not be proactive about this. I have to find a solution. I could do this. And the second thing is, I would never want anybody in such hopeless states ever again. And that has become my destiny of life. And it was really funny because this morning I just woke up and I told Panda, I was like, oh yeah, I did a little meditation because like I just haven't been feeling too greatly emotionally vulnerably. Like I was just feeling really vulnerable, especially today. And I mean, it makes sense. I went through a lot this past week. I just got fired this past week. I'm trying to find my way again. And then I'm just sitting there like, oh, I feel like crap. Why does the presentation have to be tonight? It's the worst thing. Panda's like, no, it's actually the best thing. Show your vulnerability. Show your real self. Show people why you're here. It's because I want to create a safe place, a community, like I said, a family where it could hold my vulnerability. I never had that in my origin family. And I never felt belonging. And then after this whole week, I was like, is it even worth it? Humans, not offending anybody else here. Humans are so ugly and they're all just beep, 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 filling all the swear words that you could possibly think of in those beeping, right? Is it even worth it to do this? And then parents just ask me, remind me, it's like, what are you doing this for? And I always tell people, I'm building community not to save the world, it's just to save myself. I'm building community to save myself. And because I felt like I found a way or I found the solution, I'm just a very empathic person. I want to share it. And it just goes back to, I want to share it. It's just so that not another person will feel in that hopeless state. There's always solution. And I truly believe community of love, compassion, honesty, and humility is the solution to not have people being that hopeless state alone, feeling alone all by themselves, feeling to that hopeless state where they have to end their life because, you know, there's just so much more beauty in this world. So, and then after I learned to take matters into my own hand, that's what I call myself the Empress, and that's when I put on that crown proudly and just want to be like, I want to just make or empower people to become their own Empress. And that's my story of building that community.
Yeah.
I was wondering why you didn't name yourself Empress.
Because
Watch the video.
well, I also learned that, you know, like I cut my Empress nail and everything, and because there was one point in my life I'm like, you know what? No, this Empress has just toned her down. She has to do the peasant work first, right? And that's what we're doing right now. The peasant work, or one of my video that I watch, and now I know I'm probably translating it to Chinese, so I might not be the best vocabulary to use. And I shared that with Wendy and Panda before. It was a stupid work. So a lot of people are not valuing that the stupid work as in the work that everybody could do. Like, it's not just an empress. Like, all the peasants can do. So nobody value it because everybody can do it. But those are the work that needs to be done. And I'm willing to go back down as a peasant to just do those work, because to be the great empress,
There is a
you
saying,
have to
the leader.
It has to first follow.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to follow before you can lead.
yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But I was more thinking that the leader's the first one in the trenches.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
the last one out.
Right? The
Yeah,
last
that's
one
what-
out. That's,
Yeah.
that's the saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you won't build anything if you're not.
Exactly. And I can
Able to
only
do that.
be a good empress if I know what to do and how to do it, as, you know, like, I'm not saying there's no hierarchy here, by the way, guys.
Yeah, it's
Not
more
at all.
it's the archetype, right?
It's the archetype. It's the power in me. Not, like, this is how I see me. I'm not saying, you know, everybody has to call me the empress or anything, but that's how I identify myself
And
as. Therefore,
And a true empress
You
or
know?
true lord, they're here to serve.
yeah,
We've got it backwards in our culture. We're serving the authorities. The authorities are supposed to be serving us, right? Because I think that's even where the word nobility came from, is perhaps in a time long ago, these people actually were virtuous, and people trusted them because they lived by their values and they gave to the community. They weren't taking. And somewhere down the way that got corrupted, but that's a whole other story with history in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or did they always protect?
Yeah, exactly. So in our kingdom that we'd like to build, it's based on 3 values, 3 virtues that we think are what exemplify a good human. And as long as you can follow these 3 principles, we can base all of our decisions and resolve conflicts by using these principles and gain trust in each other. So we're going to go through those 3 principles. They're honesty, humility, and compassion. Okay? And what's interesting is I came up with this after an argument. It was a debate on vaccine stuff, and I won't get into the details of that, but it didn't end well. And on the drive home, I was thinking, like, how could this have gone better? You know, like, I thought I was explaining myself right, you know, like how it got really heated. How can I tone myself down? And I don't know if it was like a divine message or just whatever. I came up with honesty, humility, and compassion. I felt, okay, both of us need to be honest. If we're going to have an exchange, we need to be honest, not just with each other, but with ourselves, right? Be honest, like, did you really do the research, or have you really done the work? You know what I mean? And then the second, humility, because I wanted us to reach a point where, okay, let's enter the conversation with the openness of saying, maybe I'm wrong, right? If we can approach that with humility, then there'll be less of that, you know, heated discussion, that we're receptive instead of defensive. And then lastly, compassion. That was a little difficult for me to come up with, because I was thinking in terms of like respect, like how can we respect each other? But I felt when I came up with compassion, I thought compassion included respect, but also created empathy, right? So with compassion, not only am I respecting you, I'm trying to create space for you to just be, for you to express yourself, and for me to like approach you with loving kindness. So I felt so far up, I haven't found a need for anything additional to that. And for us, it's about keeping things simple, right? You know, I don't want to have a bunch of these giant list of rules. You know, keep it relatively, stable and strong. So really anchoring down those values, and yeah. So those are the 3 things. Do you all agree to that? Does anyone want to chime in with what they think about honesty, humility, or compassion?
Yeah, I've been thinking about humility lately, and because in our religious community, things have gone to shit, basically. And
So cute how very blunt. I love it. I love the honesty too.
well, it's gone seriously to shit.
Yeah.
I don't say that's an understatement. So there's all this stuff about humility, and we find out that the ones who pretended to be humble were actually covering up child sexual abuse and
Oh gosh.
silencing victims and doing all this kind of stuff. Huge,
Yeesh.
worse than the Catholic Church.
Oh.
No.
And so I've been questioning a lot of the religious values. It's a great redoing of my foundations. And one of the things is humility. And a thing that has been so, brought to me for the last few years is about oneness. So what I got lately is that true humility isn't about putting yourself below someone else. It's not
No.
about a comparison. But true humility is actually oneness, where we are actually realizing that we're all one, and then there is no comparison, there's no pride. So that's something that I liked, because there's so much emphasis in religious systems about, it's a false humility, right?
Yeah.
I'm making myself lower than you. I'm serving. That's all bullshit. That's all bullshit.
Yeah.
I went to Bible school, so I totally understand. I went to church for the past whatever years. I know.
I'm getting sorry here, but it's fake.
We could talk about religion. We can talk about religion on another day. That's a whole day kind of thing. Yes.
So that's how I can feel good about it now. It's not like you're making yourself less than somebody else.
No.
It's not like you're dating, not prostrated. Let's get that right. Are we going out or are we talking about? It's not like you're bowing to somebody else.
No.
It's like we're all one and we're just contributing to each other.
And that's why when I said I'm the empress, I'm not expecting everyone to bow to me. No.
It's like you're sovereign in your own space.
Exactly.
Master of your own.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like it's what it's a characteristic. It's not a
We
title.
can all be sovereign, master of our own domain, and be one. Like there's room
Yeah.
for both. That's what you're talking
Yeah, it doesn't have to be both. It doesn't have to be
about.
either or. It's this and that, community and the individual. So I feel like in the world culture, you've got this concept of communism, and it's all about serve the community and sacrifice the individual. And then here in the West, it's got that individualistic, capitalistic, me, right? And so then we're at this conflict, and I'm like, there doesn't need to be a conflict, because so when I hear communism say sacrifice for the community, I'm going, but I am the community. So me sacrificing myself is actually hurting the community. And then the individual who ignores the community is forgetting that, like, you're benefiting as a direct result of the community's work, right? Everything we have in this space right here and right now, who made that TV, who built that couch, you know what I mean? Like, we are the product of the hard work of everyone that lives today and our ancestors. So there's a certain level of respect we need to have for both that individual and the collective. So yeah, that's kind of where we're coming from.
I like your principles or values, because mine are love, honor, and respect. So I think that fits in really nicely with that. I use different words, but the same meaning, but stressing on love.
Yeah.
Unconditional love. I don't think our culture probably fits in with what
We don't.
people
we have not
above us,
experienced.
and we haven't.
On this planet, we
It's
have not experienced that.
yes, it's I'm doing this for you. So what are you going to do for me?
Where there's
Instead of,
strings attached.
And so honey, you mentioned it because we just defined love today. A more deeper meaning, because before we would define love as, I think I shared this with you, it's understanding and acceptance. And the third level I find, now that I look at it more, is also nurturing. Love is nurturing, acceptance, and understanding. Because I was just talking to him, I'm like, well, if I accept you as you are, and you said, I'm not gonna change anymore because you accept me. Is that real love? Like, I'm just gonna accept the way I am right now. Is that really loving myself? No, because I want to nurture myself to even a better me. That's love. Like, that's even more loving than just saying, I'm accepting the way I am. I'm just not gonna change. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we're here to support our growth. And nurturing sounded like a nice, comforting word that is allowing of you to grow at whatever pace you need. So if you're thinking plants or even animals, right, you need to, or even your children, you're nurturing them, but it's not a strict, you have to change, you have to do this. It's, I'm here to guide you, and I'm providing you love, and you're going to make mistakes, and it's okay.
And
that's
it's
where you, like the
holding us-
unconditional love part, right?
And then holding
and also the stages that people are at.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're
Right.
holding a space of vulnerability for them. So
Yeah.
you're not, when they come back with vulnerability, you're not like, I told you so, It's,
Yeah.
okay, I'm here. What do you need now? Here's my nurturing for you.
Yeah.
It's okay. Everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, because there is a sort of a stigma around, oh, well, they're all enlightened. They're all, I'm just going to use this as an example. They're all 7D, so we're going to stay with 7D people and not the 3D or 4D or 5D. Well,
No.
who's going to help those people along if it isn't us? So I do believe that it's all of us that needs to
As long as they'll dance in the 3D and the 7D world.
I like the word kindness too when you're talking about love, because it's something you can really, everybody can understand that. And even if you don't understand someone, you can still be kind. And even if you don't agree with them, you can still be kind. And it's kind of like an easy benchmark for all of us, no matter what D we're operating in.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
It's a link where we can all start.
Yeah,
Start
and I
there.
remember a friend of mine, she was very smart and very quick and very kind of sarcastic, and she decided that it wasn't very nice. And she said, I've decided I'm going to be kind. And I thought, well, that's shallow. 20 years ago. And now I think, no, that's practical. It's
Yes.
practical because you can understand it.
Yeah.
Is that kind?
Mhm.
Well, no, not actually.
Yeah, it's true.
Like love has many definitions, and it's like airy fairy,
Yeah.
and it's like this is
Yeah.
love, and that's love, and that's love, and that's love. But
And I really like that because I always tell people at the end of the day, it's not about you being right or wrong. It's how you treat people.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that shows your real character. So I don't care if you're right or wrong. I only care if you treat them with kindness.
We were saying that often, that these principles, these values that we're basing our community on, if you come up to a resistance, you just say, you just have to bring it back to those basic principles.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, does it fit? You know, is it moving us towards our goal of having these three values? You know, spreading out through all aspects. You know?
Mhm.
So it's a good metric. So
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's one of those like truths that they're self-evident. You know, you don't need nothing external can validate that. We just intuitively like you know what's honest, you know what's humble, you know what's compassionate, and
There's no argument.
there's no argument there. Like you can keep
can't
it.
argue that.
It's kind of like you can. There's no real gray area in there. It's kind of like you're either being compassionate or you're not, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so with the three principle, we want to go into our 4 stages of how we're going to build a community. And our first stage that we're perceiving to see, 3 to 5 years is building trust. That's the cornerstone. That's the basis of our community.
Yeah, because like in that book, Creating a Life Together, she talks about communities that succeed and fail, and it's never the infrastructure or anything technical that has ever been the problem for a community. It's always been the people. So whether they know how to get along or not. So the thing that makes it great or succeed or fail is the people. So that's why for us, we wanted to emphasize the people, because early on it's a nice idea. Oh, let's get the land, because land represents freedom. We're getting out of the matrix. But if we haven't honed in on who our trusted network is, we could get the land, we can do the things, and then sooner or later it'll crumble because we haven't really set the foundation right and figured out where we fit. And it's not about, it's our way or the highway, or that we have the solution, that this is the only community that's going to succeed. Like, no, there's communities succeeding all over the world. And what I would imagine, if you can visualize, are you aware of the flower of life, like the symbol? So you've got this giant circle, right? And then inside that, you've got smaller circles that are interlinked, right? And that's the way I'm envisioning the community. If we can all establish that large circle represents, this is the thing we all can agree on. Can we all agree on honesty, humility, and compassion towards each other? Within that, you can vary in terms of how you operate, adding in your own flavor of other values and rules that you want your community to do. And so maybe you're not joining our community, but we want to support you forming your community too, because we're going to thrive as our communities start working together. But for us right now, like, we're trying to get just this one, right, our community working. And then through that process, we can share what worked and what didn't work, and then start collaborating with other communities and forming this synergy, so that eventually, like, the long-term vision is we have our own economy, right? Everyone's so worried, like you're talking earlier about, like, regretting shopping at Costco because we don't want to feed the system, and we don't want to either. But for now, it seems like a necessary evil. But we can, if society has been built the way it is right now, we can build it again, but we can build it better. We can take all the things that work and disregard the things that don't work.
Have you read The
Right?
Springing Cedars of Russia?
I have not.
Yeah.
What is that?
Oh, they've been building communities since 1997, 98.
Oh, wow.
Anastasia is what it's based on, and it's about Anastasia having the dream,
Yeah.
and she actually fulfills it. She actually lives in a forest, and she's in the forest of Russia, nude.
Very cool.
I think I've heard
And
that
she
from
went-
Soul
you
Shine,
might have heard it from me.
or you or
But,
Soul Shine.
but anyways, I went looking why Russia when they had the fight.
Mhm.
Why Russia, right? So within this, Putin gave 2.5 acres to every person in Russia, and
Really?
they have their own gardens.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Oh, I don't know when he did that.
Like
I
10
don't know.
years ago, kind of thing?
Oh, it could have been any time since 1998 to now. I mean, and they have pyramids. They are so far ahead of us. It's not even funny in communities. That's
Interesting.
why I mentioned it.
So the
Because
Ringing
the
Cedars of Russia.
Ringing Cedars of Russia. It's a book series of
Right.
about 8.
My friend has the DVDs.
Oh, see, I'm not a reader. I would love to see
That
a
would be,
DVD.
I'll have to, I'll wait.
Oh yeah, that would
That'd
be
be more-
a great view on there. But it's so interesting that we've lost our connection to nature
Totally.
Yeah.
and to the animals. Anastasia says things like, well, those animals are waiting for us to tell them what to do because they're stronger than us. She
Yeah.
gets squirrels to get the nuts so she could go into the markets in Russia
Oh wow.
and see the people and how they're doing, and that's how she got introduced to the guy that wrote the books. And she told the guy he was going to write the books, and he said, "You're crazy," and it goes on from there.
Neat.
It just
That's
goes
awesome.
on and
That's
on.
super cool. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so yeah, so we're building that trust because in the end, our end goal is to pretty much disconnect that from the matrix, which I call the Sim City. Now, I think I've explained to some of you why I call it the Sim City. Have you guys anybody played the Sims games here? Yeah. So if you look at what happened to people when there's a fire, they stand by the fire and just freak out and be like, oh, oh, oh. And it's just, I feel like when they call it the smart city, I was like, no, it's a sim city because they're being pretty much clicked and manipulated by the player, right? So I like to call it the sim city. So our end goal is to create a community so that we no longer depends on the matrix of the sim city.
Yeah.
And so the way we would like to create that, we go back to, I said it's not sacred financial, but collective finance that we're preaching to that.
Yeah, we need to start working together, and this is why at the beginning I threw in the word team because while I love the word community, I think team takes it just that next step where, because you can get a bunch of people in a room, call it community, but a team, that's something we've got a goal. We know what our target is. We've assigned our positions. You've probably got a captain. You've got, people in various parts of the sports team, and we're all serving our purpose because we all have that common goal, that synergy. So we're working together. And through that, that's why we need to build trust first. We need to know who our teammates are. We need to trust that each and every one of us has our backs, right? That has to be without doubt, right? But the unfortunate part, but it's worth it, is that building trust takes time. It takes time and it takes action, right? We need to start learning who we are. We need to start building relationships, and we need to start exchanging gifts, favors, and all that to prove our trustworthiness, to prove how loyal we are to each other, so that when the times get really tough, we know who to count on, and we're not worried that people are going to just flutter away.
And we do it through small steps. Yeah. So, for example, last week I lent Wendy my car, and we swapped cars, yeah, because she needed a bigger car to get, boxes from Montreal. So why it takes 3 to 5 years is it's not just one incident. Then she could trust me with her son or her life, her house, right? It's multiple of these interactions. So we're trying to create more maybe events or creating more whatever opportunities where we could do this so that everybody can interact and build that trust up. Yeah.
And so I'd like to run us through an exercise on needs so that we can I can show you an example of what this looks like in the community, like in real time. But what it requires is I just need one volunteer, and a volunteer who's willing to be vulnerable enough to share some of your needs. And okay. All right, Sylvia.
Yay, Sylvia! Let's have a brave soul.
Thank you for having the courage to do this. Okay, so I'm going to get you to stand in the center here.
And give us all your money right now. And that's it. Goodbye.
Exactly. All right. So, in terms of physical needs, like biological, like your health, nutrition, things, anything concerning the body, is there something that comes up for you in terms of like something you wish could be resolved, something that is not being fulfilled currently?
And do I stop beating myself up because I'm not addressing it?
Yes. So we want to practice honesty, humility, compassion. Be compassionate towards yourself. It's okay to, like, we're here to support you. So what is a need of yours?
I dropped too much weight, so I feel like I need to put more protein into my body because I prefer not to eat any meat.
Okay.
So probably a protein shake. But anyways, I can talk to the people in the room. So I'd like to lose or gain a little bit more weight. And Candida, kick it to the curb, but the sugar is just like...
Screaming, yep.
Well, I'm not really bad, but I'm still not really good at eliminating.
All right, so you want to get your health, your digestion in order. Okay. Yeah. In terms of emotional or psychological needs, do you feel unfulfilled in some way? Is there something that you're hoping to achieve?
It's a good thing that I love living up here because, of course, the fantasies are just so overwhelming and lovely.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's like a hot sweetie beside me to just build something bigger than myself because hopefully he has a big brain, too, to see something bigger.
Okay, so you're looking for that companionship to make you feel okay. And do you have any spiritual needs? Are you feeling like you're on your purpose, or is there something missing there?
So of course, just like more and more building and attracting into my life people, places, things, and events. I certainly am learning more about the dark night of the soul stuff and like co-creating with Creator. So it's like fairly deep, and yet it's so far out there that I'm loving it. So spirituality is growing at a faster pace than I can even keep up.
Okay.
But it's good. It feels good.
Okay, so you're feeling like you don't have any needs to be met in the spiritual?
Well, just keep on standing in the faith zone and the confidence zone.
Okay. All right, and then lastly, let's get into the material. It might be sensitive, so you're at any point you can opt out of answering, but are there any, say, financial needs or material needs that are plaguing you right now that you would love resolved?
Because there's so many big projects, like 150 million I could go through in the next 24 hours and just lay it out, like what we need, where we're going. This project needs to be completed, this needs to be completed. So I could burn through 150 really fast. So if you had that in your back pocket...
To have what in the back pocket?
$100 million.
Oh, you want $150 million. Okay. Maybe let's tone that down a little bit. In a more immediate basis, what are you actually looking for in terms of material needs? What do you need?
I don't know if I will be in this beautiful 1.8 acres land, homestead, hot sweetie. I don't know. You want me to still tone it down a little bit more? So a new truck. I could do it like that.
I guess. Sure. So you need a form of transportation that's what, reliable
and beautiful
and
shiny.
Okay, and shiny
and beautiful.
Okay.
And the hot sweetie goes with.
All right. If you had to pick one of those needs above all of them as an immediate, I would love this to be like you make a wish and
he's a genie. Oh, you don't have your genie beard.
I don't have the genie beard anymore. So which one of your needs do you think is the most important to you right now? Just in this moment. What are you feeling?
The truck that I am driving is okay. It's driving.
No, so which is the need that is most important to you right now? The need that, like, if it was resolved now, it would just uplift your life.
Hot sweetie.
Hot sweetie. Okay.
Yep.
So she has a need, everybody. Okay? So now what we're going to offer is, what can we do to help her find a hot sweetie? Does anyone have any ideas? Wendy?
I would ask you right away to share with the group your list of your must-haves. Would be nice to have, like, the absolute, you're a perfect guy, and then, like, what are the deal breakers? So that we, in our day-to-day lives, we meet somebody, and we go, oh, this guy might work with her, he's intelligent, and blah, 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 and then we can help you by setting up one date.
There you go. So that's an
So a
option.
couple of the key things I have been thinking about is that my mom really wants to buy a Class C motorhome. I could probably drive it, but do I want to drive it? I feel like I would like to just wear that crown and just be in the hot seat. So I would like a man that really feels confident in driving my mom's Class C motorhome. Because who knows, maybe he doesn't drive those big vehicles, and
Might be a deal breaker.
it's a little bit of a deal breaker.
Okay. So we won't get into maybe too much of the details, right? But let's move on to other options. Like how could you help, Sylvia?
Well, I guess one thing I would wonder is if you actually did the things you love to do and put your heart and soul into having fun and doing what you really love to do, perhaps there's a possibility you might meet somebody who shares your interests. So that'd be my
Organically, you mean organically?
organically. Well, it's actually more than that, right? Because you're gonna radiate if you're doing what you love to do. Having fun. For instance, I know a lady that started, she's not a hot sweetie yet, but she started going back to dancing. And that's lighting her up. So when you start lighting up,
I pretty much
That's like-
dance 10 weekends in a row in the summer, so doing it.
Yeah. Anybody else got any things they could do?
I
Melanie?
live by intention. Oops, sorry. I thought I was next. Wasn't it? Good.
I saw her hand up, but if you want to go, then go.
Setting intentions.
Okay. Okay.
Like actually, sorry,
Linda.
Linda. As she had said, to actually set your intentions at the beginning of the day and actually do them. And one out of your daily routine must be towards that goal. So if you like hockey, then go to a hockey game, or just one, and try that at least every day.
Okay.
So that you're in the vicinity of getting that, right? Or walking, or but have the intention to find it as well, right?
I have a
set it.
visualization exercise that kind of goes along with what Susan said. I wasn't dating for a long time. I was really into the whole spiritual thing, but then I thought, oh, I'm ready. So what I say is the radar's now.
Ooh, I like that.
So I go out thinking, okay, radar's out. I'm going to just paying a little bit more attention.
We will have a surprise for you at the end of the presentation. Remember the thing our Panda has suggested? So we'll wait to the end. Oh, we have magic soon. But we will let you know.
We create magic.
Exactly.
That's what we want to show you guys. Yeah.
He's going to go to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today, just quickly interject. There's a cool site, and I think they're doing multiple YouTubes. So it's blind dates, and they're sitting having tea, but they're basically saying 36 questions that every blind date will come out with a success.
Yeah.
So I'm like learning about all these different.
No spoiler alert, but we have a surprise for you at the end that might fit your need. Yeah.
Well, for me, I'm kind of laughing because I'm a bit of a matchmaker, right? I'm always watching.
There you go.
So I like watching how things go together, right? How people fit together and whatever. So, even just being aware, I'll be like, and just having my radar out watching for all the people that I meet, when I'm out, because I'm out meeting a lot of people, right? I'm like, I'll be like, I'll be watching for it.
Thank you.
Me
Yeah.
She's very intuitive, right? So she'll sense your energy and their energy
There you
to see their match, right?
I matched 2 couples already that got married. So that was my resume.
Matches in this lifetime, so that we're good.
Yeah.
We're not.
That's
Earlier on, when I was younger, we're not so experienced. So as discerning, I wasn't as discerning in my younger days too. I'm just honing the skill.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do like to do that as a passive.
I'm sure we could do something like that on your magazine, but
No, we'll have a singles section. Totally. Yeah.
Sue has just opened up a single.
Lesley's choices.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Lesley's choices.
Love it.
There's a website called Conscious Singles.
Oh.
Oh.
Mainly
For
kind of
spiritual people.
for
Yeah.
spiritual people who are awake, and it's a good one. So I'd be happy to help you set up a profile. I have
There
ways.
you go.
I have a lot of experience setting up dating profiles. So,
There we go.
Yeah.
Do a photo shoot.
Look at that.
It's an all-around
You
package.
need to make a vision board and write a letter thanking your future. What did you call them? Sweet, hot sweetie,
Ah, sweetie.
Honestly.
for all the beautiful things that yes, thank you.
There you go.
All right. So Sylvia, how does that feel to get all this support?
Wonderful. Thank you.
Right. So if you hadn't shared those needs, none of these ladies would have known that was so important to you. Sure, but now that we put the call out there, look at how many people stepped up to the plate to help you.
It is fun.
Right? This is what we're trying to create, this environment where one at a time we collectively harness our energy and just focus on setting you up, right? Hot sweetie, right? And then the next person might have another need and we can collectively work towards that, right?
Mhm.
So that's the energy. This is the feeling that we're trying to create with our community, building trust, helping each other. Because when you're at your best,
Mhm.
we're all benefiting as a result of that. You're shining brighter. You're walking in the world with more confidence. So thank you very much, Sylvia, for volunteering. And thanks everyone for participating. Your advice has been amazing. So we'll move into another similar scenario. I will require another volunteer.
Should we do like a 2-minute break if we want to use the washroom?
Okay, sure. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Let's take like a 5-minute break. All right, well, we're back. And so we did a round of addressing Sylvia's needs, and that's what our community is about. It's about supporting each other, raising all of us up so that we all benefit as a result. And then this is where we're getting into the collective finance part. And I've realized how sensitive this subject is. It's so pervasive in our lives, yet it's so taboo to even talk about it. We're conditioned not to share our salary with our coworkers and our friends, right? How many of us are willing to disclose their bank account information? You know what I mean? Almost none of us, right?
Funny. No.
And so it's interesting the way people almost sometimes defend this monetary system, and they kind of assume that this is just how things are, that it's somehow a law of nature. And what I want to dispel is that if humans created money, we can create anything. And so like when people are like, oh, the currency has to inflate and you got to get back to the gold standard, and I'm thinking, those are rules set in place by whoever was the architect of this system. And I want to get to a place where we organize our own economy. Now, I talked a little bit earlier about like the resource-based economy, a moneyless society. And I'm feeling like the transition there is going to have to deal with money, get us to the point where we're so abundant with it that we forget that it even exists, right? Like to make it so that we're all so wealthy because we've addressed all of our needs that money's actually not even an issue anymore within the community. But right now, the way I'm seeing it is, so if you can imagine this community, it's insulated like a cell in biology, a multi-celled organism. So you've got this outer wall, and so we work as collective finance. And think of money as energy in this case. Now, what I would say is our current system is very parasitic with money, right? All money has debt attached to it, and it's always trying to suck it out of us, right? Every penny that we make gets right back into SimCity. So we have this cell, and what I'm imagining is that we are, as we individually make money, we pool it together into the center, and then we start to focus our energy, focus our money into solving problems, building up property or assets, and keeping that energy circulating in here rather than going back out into what we're calling SimCity. So for instance, how many of us pay rent here? You know what I mean? Like, right? Or a mortgage. So in the case of the mortgage, though, you're on a step closer to owning something versus us renters. That money comes in and goes right back out into SimCity, right? And so our goal is to keep that money within the system, right? So perhaps maybe I'll take another volunteer who's willing to be vulnerable around money and stuff.
I can.
Right?
You're going to help me.
Okay.
That'd be amazing.
There we go.
There we go. We will. We can.
Thank you.
Thank you for your courage.
Yeah, thank you for your courage. All right. So is there something pressing in terms of finances for you?
Yes, exactly. There is.
Okay, and would you like to share it with me? Yes.
Yes. So I was looking at all my finances today, and I need $1,200 to pay room and board and bills by December 1st. 600 December 1st and 600 by the 12th. That's pretty pressing.
Yeah. And so you're having a hard time with this because your income stream is inconsistent, or?
I quit my job with the mandates. I was a full-time teacher at the highest salary scale and about to be. And it spiraled very quickly down, and I lost my house, have been homeless for the last 2 years and a half, and also have been healing from a lot of kind of systemic religious abuse and all other sorts of things. So that's been my focus, inner healing, rather than going for my business. I have a business set up online,
Okay.
but I haven't been able to give it the kind of attention to make it work.
Okay.
Coaching, one-to-one multidimensional transformation coaching.
Well, I'll start by saying, well, thank you for sharing, and I'm sorry you're going through some troubles, but this is why we're here. We're here to help. Okay, so so you're saying you have a business, but you haven't quite put your energy.
It's not sustaining me.
It's not sustaining you
So
right
I
now.
started building it after I quit.
Yeah.
I quit the day the mandates came in. And then I joined this community hard business, and so I started building it properly.
Okay.
But that was months, right? And it takes years to get the business supporting you, and it couldn't.
And so, what is your business, if you don't mind asking?
The name?
Like, what does your business do, or how does it generate
It's a
revenue?
service business.
It's a service, okay?
And I do online multidimensional transformation sessions. I do in-person energy bodywork with light and spaces and energy. Retreats are in the offing, haven't done them yet, but that's an offering. I'm writing. I also do land work for homes, like home energy rebalancing, clearing, rebalancing, EMF shielding, do that with light for homes. And also land work, creating big bubbles, basically creating islands of light.
Okay.
So you're consistent with your community. Creating big islands of light, which I've done on the farm where I'm staying right now.
Yeah.
So that's like, that kind of a project's like a 15 grand project. And I got actually paid for it for 5 grand.
Yeah. So,
So homes, businesses, and property.
yeah.
Land work and
Okay. And
DNA repattern.
so you could probably use some help with your business, like,
Yes. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really, because I have stuff to offer, but
Yeah.
I just need to connect with people that require my services.
okay. So, once again, anyone here, can you think of anything that could help Linda here with her situation?
first thing I would do, I would love to see the website you created.
helixlightwork.com.
Lightwork.
Yeah, so the website's up and running. I have a shop. It's functional.
And
So
then,
small amount of work.
I think then from there, I would just maybe, let's have a session where we're looking at it from other people's perspective, so we can give you our input. You know, how does it look? Are the colors nice? Are your photographs, beautiful? Is the writing, whatever?
Mhm.
Are your offerings clear? Is it easy to purchase? All of these things. And once we work towards, like, if we put all our energy in that, let's say we did a whole day workshop just on your website or on the weekend, we can get it all up and going so it's perfect. You're super happy with it. And then each one of us can go off and share it with all of our networks. That could immediately probably increase your view by maybe tenfold, depending on how many people are there. That is my first thought.
Awesome. Thanks, Wendy.
And I also have printing experience at a printing company, things like that. So if you wanted to make flyers, I would offer that as part of my, energy donation to you. And then if we get other people to go and spread those flyers around to increase your visibility.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe you could go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Like write a list of what do you need? Do you need manpower? What do you need that's in your business that can make it profit faster? So
Clients.
just clients. So you don't need manpower.
So you need exposure. You need
Yeah.
people to know.
Exposure. Okay.
I have all this set up to do work online, so I already have some clients.
Yeah.
We could
Already set up.
we could do a feature article on you and your business in the next edition and get it right out in a couple weeks. So it could be, hopefully fast enough to help with the current problem, but it'll be close. Because I'm just starting to go full time into this second edition now after cleaning up a bunch of projects. But you could have a feature article on your business and your offerings, and maybe like an introductory special, like to generate interest. I mean, my base.
I do have a special on right now.
Do you?
I have a holiday special. So it's one session with me plus our healing audio, shamanic lightwork healing audio plus my book. So I'm currently offering a special. It's like I have all these things. It's just like
Getting it out there.
yeah.
And that's why I.
And there's a clientele, like even EMF shielding, like that's would be in high demand because I talked to Laura Kissman and I need to connect with her again.
Mm-hmm.
She has the machinery to measure it, but she does not. There's no remedy. It's like I just go and then it's all shielded in the house. So there's a market for some of these things. And for body work,
I stepped into that a little bit. I have a meter, and
Oh, do you?
Yeah, and I love to go into people's homes and do a.
Yeah. So she
Shows how to
measures
mitigate.
the dirty electricity and she measures the EMF.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she did this for a lady that I know, a client of mine. And so she had filters for that, but nothing for the EMF. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I do that. Easy. Like it's really easy. So there's it's just connecting the
Maybe
two.
a connection to I'm working on EMF shielding products like these bags or EMF shielding for the phones.
I just do it like,
I'm just saying maybe in your shop maybe offer other
Yeah.
complimentary
tangible
things.
products.
Like
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a
Really
really
create something with you, like whatever resonates with you.
That's a good idea because it's not so easy for people to believe in.
So I think like a lot of us are really creative. So if we put our heads together, we could put together different things that she could actually make like quick income out of, like
Right. Just have to-
during Christmas markets or
Have that trickle income, that
Yeah.
multiple income
Yeah.
streams coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you at doing presentations? Did you do a little presentation on what you sell and what you have?
Maybe a
Yeah.
video.
I don't show up. No.
and I have video equipment as well.
I
We
was
could
a
do
teacher
something.
for a long time, and I was a preacher for 9 years. So
Well, I could invite you to a group on the other side of town.
I'd be delighted.
Your
Garage group?
Yeah, the garage group.
Oh, there
Oh, there you go.
there you go, gosh, good.
Yeah.
Go there too.
I'd love to speak. I mean, that's
I-
something I love to do.
I
Is more
just-
speak up.
Well, I can give you
Janet Fonto.
yeah.
She would be
Yeah.
interested in those type of things for
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd
Sure.
love to do speaking gigs.
No, I was looking for speakers.
Yeah. Well, I'll let the networker do it.
I just met with Janet last week, 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago. Because we, funny enough, had never met till your event. And
Yeah.
she knew who I was after we talked 5 minutes. She goes, who did you say you were again? And she goes, Lesley! But we didn't know who each other were. But anyway, we are looking at collaborating now on some projects. But one of them is a business directory because we need to get out in the community and support more people right now, with their businesses, right? So she's got a list going, I've got a list going, so we're looking at collaborating, right? And that's when we finally met about it, and we're probably going to meet again, but that's something we can do to support people.
Yeah.
It's just figuring out how to pull it all together,
Yeah.
right?
Beautiful. Well,
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
thank
Very
you.
much. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. So
Felix Lakewood.
another example of like, I didn't plan any of this. This all came out of your brains and your contribution. And just within this very small group, we were already able to offer you help with what you needed. Imagine a larger group, a whole team dedicated to let's get your business up and running. Let's make sure that you're successful and that you're not struggling to pay bills,
Together.
Exactly.
Everyone.
Together, everyone.
More.
So another question. So anyone have a mortgage? Okay. Mortgage. All right.
I don't have more.
Okay. So big part of our mortgage is because it's amortized and it's over such a long period of time, you're going to pay so much interest, right? And we can save you a bunch of time if collectively we were able to pool our money together and help you pay that off sooner. Now, I do have techniques, and some of them are expressed on the website, on the YouTube channel. But just to give you an idea, like imagine like we looked at what your remaining balance was on that mortgage. We could do a collective loan where we say, okay, let's all pool our excess resources. So if I have savings and Minnie has savings, whatever, and we say, okay, one at a time, we're going to tackle your mortgage. Let's just get it paid off. Because what does that do? It opens up some cash flow. I don't know how much you're paying per month, but you'd be reducing that payment because now it's paid off. We've saved you interest. Now with that money that you're saving, right, you can invest it into, let's pay off Melanie's property. But remember, we're keeping track of this. It's not just we're just giving you the money. We'll still treat it like a loan. But now instead of owing the bank, you owe people you trust. Right? You owe the collective. And so as we tackle one mortgage at a time, instead of, let's imagine we all had a mortgage and we're all struggling just making those payments, we'd be spending the 25, 30 years paying it off versus if we start paying off one at a time, we'll actually be paying it off sooner, paying less interest to the big banks, keeping that money within ourselves. And then as you own a property, you now have access to more money because the bank says, well, you own this property, that's collateral. Maybe now you have the funds to loan, taking a home equity line of credit, you can help somebody else or even just buy another property for yourself. And then somebody like me says, I'd love to be one of your roommates, or your tenants renting from the house. We've also established trust because we're members. So now you've got probably the perfect tenant-landlord situation, right? Who better to trust than the people within your community to be renting to. And then if there's ever a situation where, like, I'm short for whatever reason, well, as a group, we're going to be made aware of that. We're going to find ways so that we make sure that those payments are happening. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not here to screw you over, and you're not here to screw me over. We're here to help each other out, right? Or transportation. You're saying your truck, right? You could use something more reliable. What if we had our own community vehicles? Right? And granted, every vehicle seems to have its purpose, right? Trucks, big, heavy, a lot on gas, but they're great for, hauling things or whatever. So depending on your need, we can have a different vehicle for those needs and have a shared, making sure that all the maintenance is always done, that, because sometimes, you're like, I have to choose between rent or putting this repair. You know what I mean? Let's not have that issue. Let's just take care of the maintenance, keep that car running for the collective, for your benefit, so that we're all thriving and that we're not struggling alone and feeling alone.
Specialized vehicles as a common ownership.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Or it's just like a little example of what we're doing right now. I have to, because I just lost my job and I still have car payments. Well, now what do? I have to put maintenance on it. I have to do this and do that, do this. As a collective, I put the car out there and be like, okay, now everybody can use it. But all I'm asking is, can we put enough money in together to help me with car payments? Can we put enough money in there to help me maintain my car? We could still keep the car because the car is better as a value as a car itself than me selling it and paying off my loan, right? And then everybody gets benefit for using my car, for moving boxes, for like we carpool here because my car was big enough to put like 7 people in there. Isn't that like that's what we want that community to be? And I'm not just be like, okay, well, what do I have to do to like, do I have to find a job right away? Do I have to work at McDonald's just to have the car around? You know, like little things like that just kind of solve the problem instead of having one person feeling hopeless about their own problem, right?
And another thing actually just happened yesterday. Like Wendy needs some winter tires, but she needs to go to Toronto as well, and so buying tires all at once, you're looking at close to $1,000 for a full set sometimes, and so she mentioned that she's going to hold off, and then I threw out the offer that like, well, I have a Canadian Tire MasterCard that offers 24 months interest-free payment plan. So I went with her to the Canadian Tire. We figured out what tires to get her, and I said, okay, well, the agreement is I'll put this on my card, she'll make the payments, and now we're also building trust, right? So
She knows or you know where she lives.
yeah, exactly. and that's all part of this process of building trust. And as much as money is such a sensitive topic, we keep it so close to our hearts or whatever. We don't want other people to know. Actually, when we start sharing what we need, sharing our vulnerabilities, you'd be surprised by who steps up and is willing to help. And that's kind of where this leads into another component of the community is what I'm calling the Panda Bank or the Panda Trust. So myself, I've managed to live off of very little, and then I was doing this animation work. Right now I'm on EI, but I'm living comfortably on EI. And but I built up a savings. I was looking for houses, but my God, the housing market is insane. So I can't afford anything on my own anyways. But I have savings. I had enough for a significant down payment. But instead of like, say, everyone's like, oh, you got to buy gold and put it in a mutual fund. I'm like, no, I need this cash to be liquid. I need it to serve a purpose. So I have a savings account. And for me, as far as I'm concerned, that savings account is already community money. So I'm trying to be the embodiment of that living Panda Trust, where I'm willing to put my money out there on the line to help the people around me, because to me that money serves no purpose sitting in a bank account, right? It serves so much more purpose if I can help Minnie with her car payments and get maintenance done, if I can help Wendy get some new winter tires on her vehicle. You know what I mean? Like, this is the level of trust that we're trying to establish within the membership. And so
That's a harder one.
yeah, I know it's going to take time.
We're not years, right?
There is no, like, we're not expecting you to open your wallets, but we want you to get to the point where you feel confident and comfortable to do that. When you can really get to that level of trust, it's good. And like my friend Dan actually says, he's like, yeah, money is like the great maker or breaker of bonds. Because like, when you fail to communicate that you're not going to be able to make a payment or something like that, if you don't work on keeping that trust, that can really be a sting, right? So, and I've been burned a few times myself by lending money to some people and that, but that's
how we live.
Yeah.
Like that's a big
We're
one.
conditioned to live that
Yes.
way. Yeah, we're programmed to live that way.
Like a lot of people, I'll just say it. Our culture is built on that, on the money.
Exactly.
So that's how we determine our worth.
Yeah.
Or used to. I mean, we're slowly coming into it, but I got to tell you, that's a big one.
It is big.
I did not start with that one.
So this is a perfect opportunity now for me to prove that I'm trustworthy, that I'm going to pay all this time.
And it's also like, it's not like he's just going to be like, hey, you on the street, I'm going to lend you this money, okay? No, you have, like, with me, like, it's like, I have to, pretty much prove to myself, or prove to him, it's like, he says, well, I can lend you this money, and I'm like, I'm going to prove it to you that I can make those money. You know what I mean? Or I have to prove, like, it's...
We'll continue, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that, like, a couple years ago, I actually helped you.
Yeah.
because I said this, we can build trust here. She's like, she had all these debts and she just got her job or whatever, and she was doing well with that. And she was like, okay, maybe I can start actually tackling these debts. So I sat down with her and I said, okay, let's look at your budget. I want to know how much you spend on food and rent and all this stuff, car payments. So we worked it out. And I said, well, based on what you're earning at Nutrichem, like, looks like I can lend you. It actually worked out. I lent this girl $10,000 and she paid it off in a year. Right? That is a huge level of trust.
Yeah, it is.
Right? Every paycheck, she actually, because I set her up, I said $900 a month is what you need to do to pay it off in the year. She actually paid it off ahead of time. She's like, no. Every paycheck, $500. Here you go. And she committed to that. Every paycheck, she just paid me. And I was like, there was maybe 1 or 2 times she said, I can't quite make the full payment. But she came to me and told me that. That I
That's
appreciate
vulnerability, right?
Right?
I can't do that
Yeah.
with the bank. Oh, sorry, I don't
Yeah.
have a third of it
Can't
this
do it.
month.
Right?
Yeah.
But you can do that with me because I can be like, okay, I get it. Not a problem. The fact that you came to me says a lot.
Mhm.
And I'm willing to work with you on that.
And I know where
Right?
you live.
Actually, we were roommates.
We were roommates back then.
Like across the hall.
He would be, yeah,
So
exactly.
you did.
So,
No.
He did know where.
so all that.
Trust and vulnerability are like,
Yes, they're intertwined. Like
Exactly.
you kind of can't have trust without vulnerability.
you can't have vulnerability through sometimes.
Exactly, because if I don't trust you to accept my vulnerability, I'm not going to be vulnerable. And then in order for me to put my trust in you, I actually have to expose my vulnerability of I'm putting faith in you without any hard evidence I can't predict the future, but I have faith in you, right?
So it
So
also takes communication.
yes.
Yeah, it takes so much more. Like
Yeah.
then that's
But this is the opportunity to actually
exactly.
work those muscles, you know, to actually live the dream, to actually live the principle.
So Cadenza, we've been told this is impossible. This is like we are here to show and encourage and empower everybody to think is put away that's impossible. What can we do with what we have, with what we have in ourselves to make it possible?
And especially during these times, like we are doing worse than the Great Depression right now. It just doesn't feel like it because we haven't seen things crash, but realistically, people are struggling at a level that actually we're doing worse because of the amount of credit card debt, consumer debt, because they didn't have that back in the 1930s, right? If they were just struggling, buying a house, making rent, a lot of job loss. But people are in this economy, have a house, have a car, but they're swamped, they're drowning in debt. So they have all the things, but they're actually more enslaved than ever. We're more enslaved than ever. And we need to get back to what is it we truly need. For myself, like I said, I have a savings account. To me, as far as I'm concerned, it's for the community. I need a place to stay and I need food on the table and I need transportation, some of the necessities. If we can accomplish that as a community, then it's not about the money anymore, right? Because we're thinking, I need to pay for this house, I need to pay for this, but what if the community offered these things for us, right? And obviously, so let's say we have a business and through that business, the business is earning all this money. And imagine as an employee, instead of a typical salary where you're expected to pay your own rent, pay your own car payments and all that stuff, it was, okay, as an employee, you are guaranteed the basics. You've got a place to stay because the company owns property. You're guaranteed food because we own a farm or have connections to that. We own transportation as a company, but you have access to all these things. And then on top of that, we'll give you a spending allowance, right? So, because what is that money really used for? For discretionary stuff, right? You go into town, you spend money on things here and there. All that extra stuff, is it really all of our responsibility to make all these payments when we could have, say, a team of accountants working towards making sure that, all the infrastructure's there? So I know it's getting a little beyond, but I'm just trying to give a sample, paint a little bit of a picture of how far we can go when we move from individual finance to collective finance. We're so much stronger as a result if we were to pool our resources and say, okay, It's not about who makes more and who makes less. It's not about competition. That's not the issue. The issue is, what do we have and what can we do with what we have? And especially in these times, like, we are going to have to start pooling together, because, like, it's really hard for an individual to make it. It's really hard. When you look at the average Canadian income, they say the mean average, but I'm feeling like that bell curve has been, the middle class is being pushed out. But anyways, Stats Canada says about $60,000 annual salary is like an average mean salary. But then when you look at the average cost of a house, you're looking at $500,000 to $600,000. So 10 times our salary, that's unreasonable. But when you look at the Great Depression times, they were earning an average salary of around $5,000, but the average house was between 7 and 10. So they're only looking at twice their salary. So anyways, all that to say, we can pool our resources together, start buying one house at a time. We were talking a little bit about co-housing and that, and it's not that everyone has to live with everyone. We need to find who we can live with, and then make that model work on a small scale. If you can resolve small problems like who's going to do the dishes, who's going to take out the garbage, when you can handle those things with honesty, humility, and compassion, then we can move and we can take on bigger things, right?
Yeah. Can I say something?
Sure.
Yeah, the 2020, the best thing that ever happened to us was my daughter and her children moved in with us, because my mom and dad were from the old country. I'm first generation Canadian, but they always lived with their grandfather and grandmother, and they had great respect for the grandparents. But in our culture, there's none.
They're locked away.
Yeah.
We ship them into a home, and
I know, it's sad.
It's very, very sad. So, and even I had to deal with my daughter and her opinion of living with us. And I said, let it go, let it go, let it go, because you can't have what we have.
Yeah.
And we love it because we have the kids there.
Yeah.
And so let that go. And I feel bad. I mean, she went through all of this. Unworthy, etc., etc. And so
she was hesitant to move back in with you.
Oh yeah, she was the first one.
But you were like begging to move back.
Well, yeah, and because the stigma is so huge, and I'm just like, why? Like, we're better off. You're better off. The kids are better off. What?
Yeah.
What
You got
is?
a pool, you got a big garden, I'd move in.
Well, we'd have to tilt something. Yeah, but yeah, there's so much that
unlearning we have to do.
Yeah.
Decondition.
And so I love how you got the trust on the bottom level, because it is number one. Because we don't even. When's the last time you trusted any product that you actually got from anyone?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't even know the person on the other side.
Yeah.
Another aspect too is we want this community to be multi-generational, right? We want young people coming in, because we're all aging, some of us more than others, and we're going to get to a point where, and a lot of us have been ejected from our family units because of what's going on. So the community becomes the extended family, becomes the place where you can age comfortably. You will be taken care of.
Yeah.
We're not going to ship you out somewhere.
Like, I even think of myself, like, how do I want to retire? Like, not in the way that the system is projecting it, but I'm thinking of, I want to get to a place where I don't need to make money, and that I'm surrounded by the people I care about and that care about me. And we're thinking multi-generational and like a legacy, like 7 generations down the line, like we want to have this stability to the point where we have our own flags, our own coat of arms, like we represent, have our own little sports teams, have fun, build our own nation. Why can't we? Who says that we're restricted to calling it Canada and calling it the US and calling it like whatever European country? It doesn't matter. It's like, we can have our own nation. We can have our own community and and our own economy, and especially once we start connecting with other communities. And at some point, like, the system will be like, where'd they all go? Right? And we'll just be busy just doing things for each other and be like, yeah, we're good. System collapses, the stock markets go crazy, and we're like, well, whatever. We got food, we got shelter, like,
We got
you know,
dancing.
we got all these things. Yeah. And then I had this epiphany.
We're not the, like you and many others have the same vision. It's interesting because
Yeah.
I know Dr. Deborah Drake, they have this model of hubs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a three themselves all
Yeah.
over the world.
So this is how it's going to be.
It is.
Yeah.
At
And we're
Soul
just,
Sign, we met like a bunch of people who were from, different parts of the Canada or Toronto and stuff like that. We said, yeah, we're doing our own thing, but we're definitely going to collapse somehow.
Yeah.
Make our own Soul Shine or whatever it is, that we're going to totally collapse.
exactly.
Right?
And I find it's awesome when we come up with these ideas ourselves, and then we see that others are coming to the same conclusion, reinforces, okay, we're not crazy. They're coming up with this idea too. So I'm sure there's this collective consciousness that is happening, which is why we're calling this a conscious community, is because it's not enough to just be a community. We have to be conscious of what we're doing and where we're aligning ourselves with, and who we're aligning ourselves with. And that's why for us, membership is very important. So we're going to have to come up with criteria. So we got the 3 principles. We still haven't quite worked out, the finer details. But we were thinking of things like you need 2 people to vouch for you. So you don't just get in as a random stranger. You need at least 2 people who are willing to say, I trust this person, and accept them into the community. Because then if anything goes wrong, if there's a conflict, not only are we concerned with that person who's being on trial, so to speak, is, all right, who trusted you? And let's figure out what happened and what went wrong and things like that. And then, so perhaps let's say, you don't know anybody, but you're like, I gotta be in this community. Okay, well, we'll have an opportunity for people to experience a bit of what we have to offer. Try to make friends, right? Show trust, volunteer, demonstrate that you're trustworthy, and then you'll eventually have people who say, you know what? You've been coming to these things a lot. I'll nominate you to be part of our community, and so to speak. And that's what we want to build, really, because that's our first layer of defense. And I'm thinking of us in terms of, so going back to like the cell, we need to have a layer of protection. We can't just be, just let everybody in. Like, no. We're going to set boundaries. I think boundaries are important.
Yeah.
And that's our first line of defense. That's our immune system, right? We can't just let foreign things just coming in and going, right?
And that goes back to building trust, right?
Yeah.
Like like what are we doing physically that we're building trust? So things like, coming to our meetings, coming to our events, coming to because we have like different meetings, like showing us your commitment, showing us that how you try to contribute, whether if it's information, whether it's just helping us here and there. We see all these little things. We take them really like to heart, and we see that. And yes, we're judging you. No.
So the database is going to go online.
Yeah. Well, actually, that connects well to actually what we wanted to talk about further is our future projects.
Point on that too,
Sure.
Yes.
before you go on.
Yeah.
I think I'm just thinking back to my experience of creating group energy, for 15 years, and I think that looking at what you're creating from an energetic perspective is the most important thing, right? So, like, often before we create an event or calling energy and calling people, like there's, first of all, I envision that event complete and what does it feel like?
Mhm.
How does it flow?
Yeah.
So I'm fairly setting an energetic container and then calling the people in, but I'm very clear on what I don't really even need boundaries, but I'm pretty clear about what I want to manifest, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
often I found in the years of doing gatherings, because a lot of people typically would have problems with people that came in and sabotaged or
Yes.
whatever in their and I typically didn't have problems with that, but I think this concept, well, I know this concept could apply to you too, is working on it from the energetic perspective and being very clear, then you really, the need for boundaries becomes almost, I mean, it's for maybe the occasional case, but you don't really need them. But I would screen, first of all, I'd be very discerning of who I was allowing into the group in the first place. I would ask questions to see where they were at with their beliefs or energy, and then I might say, are you, and I'd be very clear with some people. If I sent something, I'd say, this is a forum for people that are already accepting what this person has to offer. This is not for skepticism and, knocking down the ideas of the person presenting. It's an open forum for them to present freely and openly with respect. It's not for, and I mean, there were exceptions over the years where I had to learn? Yes, but in general, I didn't deal with a lot of that in general, right? And that's about being clear, right? And discerning, even in the beginning, when you're making those new contacts, like using you can really minimize the process by that early discernment.
Yeah, and that's I love that word, discernment.
You can minimize it by being, and I guess I did go to
And the energies won't
questions.
connect.
Well, no, and often I didn't draw in the people that caused the problems because I always saw it as an energetic container. I created the event in the other realm before it even happened, right? So if you're working on that sort of level, you don't tend to manifest problems. And I wouldn't say never, because sometimes you have higher learning to do, and you're still going to create the occasional circumstance to learn to. But I'd say in general, over the 15 years, my space was safe, and people knew that, and there wasn't a lot of spiritual ego and finger pointing because I didn't allow it. But that was part of that discernment too, and that container that I created, right?
Yeah, well, you're setting the precedent. It sounds like you've built a strong enough community of like-minded people that if somebody was off, it was very easily sensed, right? And that's kind of like getting back to the cellular organism. You're sensing your environment and you're discerning what's safe to take in and what's not. So as we cultivate that trust amongst ourselves, it becomes a lot easier for us to figure out who's the odd one out, right?
I think she's also saying, now you can correct me if I'm wrong, but life is spiritual first. We need to create it there first.
Yes, I create it energetically first.
Yeah, and when it's there, then if someone comes in to try to destroy it, they're backing off.
Well, they're probably dealt with already. Doing it collectively.
Well, here's
like a force.
Here's what would happen, for example, if somebody came in that I really felt wasn't in alignment with my intentions and what I wanted to create, often they would be removed by some circumstance. I didn't even have to deal with them, right? So that's, you're working on that spiritual level, and that's the level you want to be creating, right? Because they'd be dealt with because something would happen and they'd get sick and they couldn't come. Or whatever. Or their car would break down and they wouldn't get to the event.
Like how many people came to your event, And I watched one of your events, the October one I missed, and I have had events where no one showed up, but it was a good thing because I had to learn to set my intention. You really, like what she's saying there is very, very important. And you won't have as many troubles.
Well, I don't have hardly any trouble with my events, right?
Yeah. Well, yes.
I think because we're all spiritual beings and we're all open to all of our awakening and our consciousness is being raised all the time. We're going to get more and more and more attuned to that.
Exactly. But I think I still think it's not just. Well, to keep the presentation going, I just want to kind of conclude that I think it's what you're saying is totally valid. Setting that intention totally makes sense. But I think it's also fair to understand that not everyone's at that level, and there are going to be people who are going to try to sabotage something that's good, especially if we get big, right?
Yeah.
As soon as we start becoming a little more well-known, I have suspicions of people infiltrating, say, the trucker rally and all sorts of things like that. Like any of these like protests where you get a lot of good people coming together, they see that, and what does every evil person do? They send in some saboteur, right? And so we want to at least have multiple layers of immune defense, just like your body. What's the first layer of defense? Your skin, right? But if something penetrates the skin, you have another layer of defense. You've got some white blood cells in there. You have different organs functioning, and so your lungs too. Why do we have all these little hairs in our nose and stuff to smell so that we don't breathe in a gas that's going to kill us, right? So having those multiple layers of defense, knowing how to eject somebody once, let's say we accidentally let somebody in who's causing trouble, we need to have a process for how they leave. Just like I breathe something in wrong into my lungs, I'm going to sneeze or cough it out. Right? We need to develop that system for ourselves. So our future plans, getting into the idea of connecting people and building this
Sylvia's
membership.
not here. It's made for Sylvia, our future plan.
Actually, yeah. So a dating app, essentially, but not just a dating app. If any of you have ever used a dating app before, it'll function very much like that. However, it's going to connect not only people who want to find love, but people who want to find community, people who want to find people with skills, resources, businesses, knowledge, right? So, and I think it's going to tie in really well with your magazine, which is like when you mention the magazine, it's like you didn't even need to tell me anymore other than it was a magazine. I knew that was going to be successful. And so I feel like this app that we want to create is going to tie a lot of that in to allow people to find and connect with us at a point where it's getting a little more precise. Because right now it's kind of like it's by word of mouth, and we're allowing the universe to bring us together. But perhaps we can even streamline this process a little more to help. Because the app isn't just to bring people to our community. The app is to help people form their own communities, right? And so we got that app that is in mind, and then another thing that we're going to be trying to do in February 11th is our Simplicity event. So that's more of Minnie's baby and
my project.
And maybe I'll let Minnie explain Simplicity.
So Simplicity is what I find. Thank you to NutriCam. Hello, NutriCam. Thank you for NutriCam and the experience there. What I find is lack in a wellness community. The connection between a helpless person who's in need of health problems to practitioners. A lot of them come in, they're like, listen, I hate my doctor, I do what do I do? And I'm like, well, I have this network of healers. You got different practitioners that can help you. But there's no physical space to have that happen, right? So I want to create the space, which I want to call Simplicity. Pretty much that is in the name. Simple city. We simplify everything. But it's a wellness academy that educate people in well-being information so they can empower themselves to stop relying on our system, our broken health system right now. So what it entitled or put into the little picture is it's a lounge full of people that's a membership base that comes in, and there's always consultant there. And all these health consultants will, interview and talk with that individual, decide what they need, connect them to appropriate practitioners. But also, instead of like a pharmacy or, drugs and stuff like that, we educate them on food. There's going to be a food facility on site, meal prep that can be sold to them, meal plans, recipe that can be helping them with their health. And then you got different practitioners helping one person. I've never thought healthcare was one-to-one. It's never that, because me and Wendy we're both nutritionists, but we have so much knowledge that can be so different that can help one person. And like we are planning on, not like each practitioner has limited education or knowledge, but when we put everybody together helping one client, that is the holistic, way of helping this. And then bring in the arts, the artistic and artisans of the Ottawa, where that can help with mental and emotional health, and then so that it's just a space. So this February 11th event, it's pretty much because it's such a new concept. I want an event for people to actually experience what this whole academy feels like in real person timing. So there's going to be workshops. I have the Qigong master agreeing to this. I have one of the naturopathic doctor who's really good with their psychological. We have Wendy who's hosting a workshop. So it's going to be workshops. There's going to be food education. There's going to be consultant there on site, talking to different people, everybody interacting. And it depends on the space. We'll have vendors there that sells, good things that align with the visions. I have different artists that agree to come to do live music, and then we're looking at live painting and artists as well. We're including. It's just a space, pretty much like a little doorway into the Cafe Cadenza, but not quite. When we're actually serving the community by educating them about wellness. So that's my thing about February 11th, and. We are still looking for a venue. We've been traveling around. We have a meeting with something called the head office of Canada in Canada, Hazel Dean, right now. That could be one of the possible tentative space.
Yeah, carp. That's a good time of year for carp.
So carp, April was telling me that she has a friend who has a house. But what I want to do is the first one is in town. And then I want to do this once a month, maybe, in different parts of the city, and then see where my permanent location will eventually be. Somebody suggests I open right next to Nutricam just for revenge.
Yeah, and without, and so and we'll have a Q&A after to kind of answer more of those questions. But this is another one of those projects that we want to expose ourselves to, and we feel like these are. So the app and Simplicity are ways to reach a broader community. Through that'll be our first layer of our filter, and then within that is when we'll start taking membership towards the more tight-knit community that, say, Wendy, Minnie, and myself have been creating, right? Because we need to also offer help to the broader community, because even if they don't align with us in terms of vaccines and spirituality, these are people that need help. They need healing. Minnie can see that on firsthand when she was at Nutricam. All these people are disappointed by their doctors, and they're coming to her, who's just a health consultant, or a retail person, They're coming to her for advice. And because the clinics, even I experienced this myself, I just needed a prescription for an inhaler, and all the clinics, they don't take walk-ins anymore.
Wow, really?
There's very few that will. They'll call themselves a walk-in, but you need to have a family doctor you need to already be registered with them, which to me is not really a walk-in then. You know what I mean? So anyways, I struggle with that, and I was just thinking, you know what? We can provide a better service. Yeah. And we shouldn't have to.
Not to, but in the case of emergency, or whatever.
Winchester, remind me to tell you about the clinic in Winchester.
Okay, Winchester. All right, thank you, Wendy.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
speaking to him directly. Is it the
Yeah.
Conrad's son?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I had a good conversation.
Now has his MD license, so we can prescribe.
Sweet. So,
And I'll just throw it out there because I don't really know them very well, but they basically sounded like they're moving into the U.S. They're temporary. I want to say 2 years, but don't quote me. But they're actually looking to rent their space, and they got animals, and they have something else that was quite attractive, and I forget.
Oh yes, yeah, I saw that the 2 years rents. Yeah, I think I sent it to you guys as well.
Yeah.
For closing.
Sweet. So that's.
I'll
Send it to me.
Okay.
He didn't send it yet.
So this is where we're headed, and I guess all we're really asking of you at this point is for your feedback. If you believe in this vision or you want to support it, you can talk to us about how we can work together. And if you feel there's other people that might be interested in this, feel free to let them know. Because really what this presentation is about is just getting the information out there. Like Lesley, you were saying, you don't fully know what we're about, but you're putting that faith in there, the energy's there. So we're here to just explain more of ourselves so that people get a better understanding. And we're here to also refine this presentation. How can I present these ideas more clearly and answer any questions you might have. So to kind of end this off, I want to do a final check out, essentially, and just to get a sense of how everyone's feeling after the end of this presentation, and what your takeaway is. So maybe we'll start with Susan. Like, what's your takeaway?
My takeaway is I like the ideas. I think there are a lot of other communities already out there doing that, like the Ringing Cedars of Russia and stuff like that. So that's good. I don't like, I gotta say, the finance thing, jumping into that too soon, because I think you will get a pushback. I mean, so it's just a caution there to which one you want to do first. But I like the principles and the thing about the membership and trusting two people. Like, I'm not so sure of, because you're just starting out. Who are the two people that
Me and Minnie. Me, Minnie, and Wendy. Two of us need to. It's got to start somewhere, and we're not. Nothing's set in stone here. It's not like we've got anything like a constitution written out exactly. We're inviting everyone to bring these extra pieces and let's come up with solutions, because we want this to work, and understanding the reasons why we decided, say, 2 members to vouch, because we want to ensure that as the members come in, that we're trusted. But anyway, sorry, not to make it a conversation, but just to check in with everyone and see how everyone's feeling. But
okay, so you're saying that let's just say the 3 of you, 2 of the 3 of you would vouch for her. Not that she knows that I know you, and that she knows Lesley longer maybe than I know you. But I thought I was under the impression that she would bring you to say that, well, Lesley knows me and Sylvia knows me. And I don't know if we're supposed to give a written piece, but I'm just saying that's what I was thinking in regards to 2 people. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But no, you're talking about to the inside members.
Yeah, so anyways, the whole gist of that was maybe a little too confusing for the beginning.
Okay, sorry, because I guess we never explained. Okay,
no. How about let's just not explain it? I just want to keep moving with how everyone feels, because we can get into a lot of this.
We'll get it in Q&A.
Yeah.
I'll answer your questions.
Exactly. Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's exciting to have this kind of interaction, and I'm so grateful for your help too. And the takeaway, there's no critiquing to do. It's just every community is going to evolve. Every community is going to be unique, as you're saying, and this may be a particular fit, and there might be other particular fits. But I love the vision that you have. The takeaway for me, I don't know. I guess one, and this is not even a takeaway, but it is in the sense that you're saying that you need to build a community with people who resonate with you. And that's been very clear to me lately, that I need to build my own, we all need to build our own personal network of people who resonate with us. Not necessarily people that resonate with somebody else.
Yeah.
And it's proven to my detriment that doesn't work very well.
Yeah,
so it has to be really intuitive.
It has to feel right for you. Not that I don't want you in the community, but I only want you in the community if this makes sense for you. Exactly. But if you're hesitating, then don't. I want you to feel comfortable in your community.
And I guess it's like the 100% yes, right?
Yes.
And there will be variations of this. Like you say, there's a lot of variations of this. Your model is amazing, and what if in the future what you're actually doing is cloning your model, teaching your model.
That's the
That's
plan.
what- that's
That
the
is
plan.
the plan.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So that gives you like a basic blueprint, and you can modify it however you want,
Yeah.
but give you that
But
foundation.
you're really doing a lot of the nuts and bolts.
It's
Yes.
kind of the early work stuff, the engineering, but you know,
That's got to happen, right?
And
somebody's got to do
all
it.
the pie in the sky ideas about how we like to have communities in 5D is really nice, but we need to start with.
and
where we
that's
are.
what we're doing, right?
I'm saying you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So,
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Sylvia.
So a blessing, isn't it? Speaking of blessing, I just want to do one pipe in Udaway Wellness Learning. So OWL has been an ongoing not-for-profit for a little while, but it's just been kind of under the radar since Judith's husband passed away. So we're kind of planting the seed again, like not-for-profit would be lovely. It's all about wellness and well-being and wellness. So just to say that tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. they are going to be doing live on Zoom. A few of us can pipe in and speak on the word blessing. It's going to be the
Nice.
theme. So back to the question, basically, whatever, I'm kind of like Lesley. The collaborations are there. You just be specific what you need, we'll reach out, right? I mean, certainly I'm
Thank you.
excited about 11.
February 11th. Yeah, I'm excited too.
You know, I love the collab space. Again, I have no clue what they're charging nowadays. We were using it quite faithfully every single
We were
week.
saying about yesterday, I know the guy, so we're gonna reach
So we
out
just-
to him.
I think basically we need somebody that has a membership because that's what we were using, somebody's membership. But
Mhm.
anyways, it doesn't hurt to reach out and find out. It's a very central, great location. I don't know. I mean, I've trusted you guys, and I certainly know the rest of them in the room. Just this year, it's fine. And of course, I look forward to spending going into your website and learning from you in terms of your book. And I want to get my piece in an audio version too. So. Yeah, so my book is Take Back Your Power, so a chapter in that.
Nice.
It's coming out.
Thank you.
I just want to reiterate that it was a great presentation, and you guys are honing in more and more each time.
Oh.
I think it's a great way to introduce the concepts to people. You know, I'm hoping that they're going to grow. We're going to have more and more people. And there's going to be a bigger space, and we're going to have PowerPoints, and we're going to. I could already envision it being something that's really dynamic. You know, and having more people kind of come in and say, well, we've added this kind of component, and we're adding this component because we're right at the beginning right now. But it's great.
Bootyful.
It's my company name.
we're really trying to market it.
Well, I think the presentation was really, really good, and both of you are really vulnerable and also charismatic, and I really like how you facilitated the conversation and demonstrated what you wanted to do through the two, like the interactive exercises. I really liked the concept of like pooling ideas, resources, and all of that. It works in practice. I studied international development, and that's how a lot of like communities have like done some amazing things. And so the concept of like even like imagining like I have an egg and I have a handful of rice and whatever, like that can be pulled together to like create an opportunity for somebody. And it doesn't have to be a lot to start. There's also that like on a massive scale where there's like, I think the organization is called like SheEO or something. And
Oh, interesting.
but is that the one where they all pool their resources and
They're all completely asleep.
yeah, but this is
But it's a
an
good
interesting model,
Yes.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Like it's an interesting model
They
that
do
works.
the same thing. They all pool their resources and they pick 2 or 3 per year, and they launch that person's career.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they're models that like work, and so I found it interesting what you were talking about. And then I'm feeling happy I came. I'm also feeling a little tired, but that's just me. I'm always a little sleepy. And thank you for the invite, and thank you for welcoming me here. And
I forgot to invite her to February 11th. We wanted to talk about her mystical Madero, which I think would be a great addition.
Cool.
oh yeah, so
To demonstrate it and to offer it.
yeah,
Have
it'll
it
be
on the
fun.
table.
We can talk about that. If
That's awesome.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I'm busier than ever. Like
She loses her job and she's working harder than ever.
I'm working more hours and yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like when you were talking.
Yes. The one thing I would be curious about that, like in the presentation, which maybe it'll come up in the Q&A, but like how to make decisions in terms of like what is the governance kind of like decision making, conflict resolution,
We're working
like
on
those kind of things
coming
to
up
think
with
about.
modified consensus.
Yeah.
What was it called? The one that practices the social economy.
The sociocracy.
Sociocracy. So we're looking at a bunch of tools and we're trying to incorporate what's
Yeah.
going to work
Yeah.
for us, and it might be a combination of a few.
Yeah, and I know very little about, like, I know a little bit like about NBC and like
Yeah.
dialogue stuff and that, but like I don't know a lot about like that kind of research. So it'd be interesting, like when you integrate that into a presentation, to share a little bit about the different modalities and why you choose the one you do.
I think we left a lot of stuff for YouTube channel because there's just so much context that
Yeah,
you know, like the logistic part. We left it all for the YouTube channel. But
I would
Yeah.
like to go through.
It's tough, you know, like
Yeah.
it's such a big idea. Like imagine me, like I'm trying to sell you a car, but I'm trying to also sell you on the idea of how the car works. So now I got to tell you about the battery and the alternator and the power steering and you know what I mean?
The car too is amazing because you're talking about the car, the hybrid, right?
Yeah.
Hybrid
Yeah.
with the EcoBoost.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
You
you
gotta
got
pick and
that.
choose it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like I got to get to the heart of like what's important to talk about right now, and
and
it's
that's
a learning process. I'm not like fluent in presentations yet, but you know, as I do more of these,
You're doing very
It
I
well.
will.
was so good.
Thank you.
awesome.
Takeaway, you asked for takeaway. From a I was just going to mention presentation, you know, because I've seen a lot of people present over the years, but actually, you know, you have an excellent command of the room and flow of the right, flow of the room, questions, redirecting, lots of things that a lot of people are good at.
Thank you.
Right?
Now you believe it? She's saying it to you because I said it to him. He didn't know.
Oh.
Yeah.
So excellent, really, really finely tuned presentation skills for somebody who was saying that you're just starting. Very finely tuned skills.
Thank you. Well, I guess my years of teaching paint night, I think maybe,
Oh, yeah.
right? So things that are unrelated sneak their way into where I'm at.
But
So,
good at redirecting on topic, good at like lots of excellent skills that not a lot of people are always good at, especially at the beginning. If you say you're just starting out, like some excellent presentation skills. So I mean, the next logical step would be to have some sort of visual, even with the key points
Yeah.
for the group to stay on track, and
Yeah.
you to stay on track, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All you need is a whiteboard. You don't need.
Well, I even have a whiteboard, like even this is what we're going to cover, 1, 2, 3, 4, which you probably were going to do anyway, but I mean, yeah, I would say excellent.
It's here.
Yeah. But I wanted to focus less on. I wanted to focus more on our interaction.
But that now, just, and I do have a better understanding, and I like, you know, I love a lot of the concepts. Susan's, one of the questions that's in my head, but, is that for the Q&A?
Mhm.
I'll save my question.
Sure.
But the model, I mean, it's hard, you're creating something that's so, well, you're saying there have been successful models all over the world, but we don't really know them in our society. We haven't seen it up and running, so, you know, there's a lot.
How many of us are going to be running naked in the woods?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my plan.
All right, everybody, 1, 2, 3, strip.
We'll talk about vulnerability, you know.
I'm doing cold plunges now.
Yeah.
Not gonna do it all in front of you guys.
I'm just saying. Anyway, no, I love the concept, the shared resources, like a lot of it. The money thing, I think that can be a higher perspective approach that you're moving towards. I can see an intermediate or an interim approach before that. You can get to that level, but not to say that down the road that can't be created, because that's the direction we're headed, right? With the evolution of consciousness and so on. And so, yeah, I think it was excellent, and I do have a lot better understanding, and now it's putting pressure on me to get my ass moving
You have a little mini here to help you.
Well, I'm looking forward to when we get to talk about your magazine more because I want to see how we can really
well, it's
get
good
that.
we met and did this first tonight. Now
Yeah.
we'll move on with that. Because like I'm just ready to come out of the gates on it now again. So
Yeah.
anyway, but I'm feeling like it could be a support, for a lot of people. Like I need, and I'm so need driven. So the minute I see that it's like, like I have to, this is a really big need, and it can take everything to another level. Like a lot of people's creations and what they're wanting to manifest, but support those projects, right? To bring them to another. Because the people are coming in from everywhere, like the new contacts, right? They're coming from all different directions, just like that. As soon as that energy, as soon as that, that drawing place is put out there. But I think it's important when you're creating, you have to have that anchor point, right? Like and it's figuring out the whole, how do you balance between giving and receiving, the whole financial part of it is the part that gets hard to deal with, right?
Yeah.
Right? But anyway, I'd like to go higher perspective on that too.
We have solutions, but
Like what you're talking about, but not, the sacred finance thing goes down that sort of path too.
yes.
Right? Where you're, basically they're saying to me that the money will just come when I go ahead and put this platform out there. So, and then I just need to trust that. That's what I'm being told, and I'm getting like a big yes on that now. So I don't even they say the traditional advertising schedule and the traditional way of doing business in a magazine, they're saying no. It's too heavy, it's too old, right? It's the old money. It's the old money structure. It's not the way that this magazine is going to operate, and it's not the way a lot of
Not the way
these
anything is
businesses,
going to operate.
these businesses, all these
No.
businesses are going to operate, right?
No.
So
I mean, we're pioneering, and
Yeah.
there is no model.
that's what I mean. So this is why I've been stopped, because there was some reprogramming and some shifts that I had to go through personally, and with this evolution of creating on a whole different level, right? And that's probably why I got stopped between the first edition and the second. It is why I got stopped, because there was some shifts in perspective that needed to happen. So, and I can see how this thing,
Sorry, I do have to say one more thing, and I'm sorry for interrupting.
No.
On that topic, I thought your presentation was good. I just, I'm always improving, so that's why I came with that, because I want you to succeed. I really do, because I love the idea, just like everybody else did. I really did, but I'm a stickler for. That's it. She said it better than I did, because that's the old way of thinking with the money,
Yes, it is.
and that's.
But they're still going to have to deal with that, though.
Yeah.
We still have
Because we have
transition.
Yeah, we need the transition. We can't just go from 3D to 5D. You gotta.
This is an ongoing argument, right, that I have with spiritual people, not certain spiritual people, is that, it's already here. Well, no, it's not really anchored into 3D yet. We got to deal with that transition between now and the light civilization, right?
And so what is missing in the piece is trust, right? Because what we're trying to build here, to answer all those questions about finance and everything, and why are we so why we're so uncomfortable talking about that, and why do we not see possibility, is because we're so conditioned in the old way of you can't trust your neighbor, you have to lock the door. But what we need is deconventionalize ourselves out of it, build that trust like me and Wendy and Pena has right now, do things a sacred financial way. So what we're doing is we take out money out of the system and we do gifts, right? That's the model. But before we do that, what do we need? The trust. So then it's not an immediate thing that we have to focus on that economic right now, because we still need to play in that economic game that everybody has right now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we spend the 3 to 5 years to build that trust so that we could get to that economic state where we could just throw that money out. By that time, it's not going to be, oh, it's so hard. By that time, because we have that trust, we can lend each other's cars, we can offer service for people without saying, what are you going to give me back right this instant?
Yeah. I think how you fast track that trust process or build it more quickly is by connecting with people that already have communities that have, like, people come to me because they trust my integrity and my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So if I endorse what you're doing, then you have a lot faster access
Exactly.
to a large number of people, right?
Yep.
So you have to connect with key people that are instrumental in communities.
Yep.
That's how you're going to build it.
And that's what these presentations are for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that's why, like, it's, if I trust
Yeah.
you and then you trust these people, I can, by proxy, trust
What?
them because I've,
Alumni.
right?
That's how
Alumni.
hubris really is,
His first
right?
presentation.
Because because
Oh, sure.
I already have a
Yes.
relationship, they're wanting, I'm not, because it's taken
Yeah.
10, 15 years to build all those relationships with trust,
Exactly.
right? And you want to access that base of trusting people.
I thought I sent it to you, or send it to April, maybe.
Yeah,
That's a long
yeah, I just
process.
have your,
Right?
We also have to
Facebook
be very
or-
aware that we have
your
to walk
email.
the talk.
That's why I
Yes, right,
said
because we're modeling this.
Oh,
So, and we're
that's
gonna
fine.
come up to.
Now you
things
do,
that are
because
not
you
gonna work.
emailed
We're gonna have to
me.
evolve things.
Which is
You
perfect.
emailed me today,
That's how we're gonna
asking
do
me
it.
stuff.
And that's how we'll hone it to this
because you
group.
sent it to me.
Yeah.
All of our input.
So I just want to conclude a little bit. So I'll finish off by sharing what my takeaway is, well, number one, thank you all for
Thank you.
being here and then participating, and you surpassed my expectations. There were little bits where I was worried because, like, I don't know what I had no idea what you were going to come up with for your needs, right? And I had no idea. I was like, uh-oh, is everyone going to draw a blank and not be able to? But you all jumped in with a unique thing, and it was so wonderful to see. I was like, oh, wow, see, I can just step back and let you all handle this situation. It was wonderful to see. So thank you all for, like, really, like, being vulnerable and then participating and, like, showing that you do care. And that's really all we're looking for, is, like, building that trust, showing that vulnerability, and realizing that, like, through teamwork, through support, we can make things more possible, right? So yeah, thank you all for
Yay.